fantasygreek.com, who actually has been covering the Seahawks for us for the playoffs. And he wrote a real nice piece that's on the homepage of the fantasygreek.com called Seahawks Don't Give Up Mentality Gets Them Win Over Packers 28-22. And he wrote one of his points in his article, and I thought this was just fantastic. He said, with all that being said, it was the 2-point conversion that made me really wonder if the 12th man yesterday wasn't the good Lord himself.
Well, I mean, it's and
seriously, even the fake punt. I mean, that was not the greatest of passes.
Not at all.
Well, the fake
to an offensive lineman of all people too.
The fake punt was. I mean, again, I'm tip my hand here that I'm not the smartest when it comes to X's and O's, but it seemed like that's something that you planned for and nobody covered where they were supposed to be. And then the 2-point conversion, that was just the most atrocious coverage I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, that play should have been done and over, and Wilson throws this arcing. I think it had dew when it came down.
Oh yes, it was not a great throw.
Nobody could react to it in time to bat it down or anything like that. So
Wilson, when he went for the grab, he even didn't immediately secure the ball. He actually sort of fumbled it around a little bit.
Yeah.
So all these weird, and plus add in the onside kick, and you're sitting there going, the Seahawks had a lot of things that went their way at the very end, that any one of which they would have lost the game. Game over.
Agreed.
And right on, and when they did the onside kick, my wife was in the kitchen cooking, and I screamed, and she goes, "What?" I'm like, "Seattle's going to win this game." As soon as that onside kick happened, there was zero doubt in my mind that they were going to win that game. Zero. Because it seemed like once they got the onside kick, it was meant to be. And you can almost see that in Green Bay. Like, even though they had that solid drive for the field goal to end regulation, I mean, how can you recover from that? What was it? 15 points in 47 seconds they scored or something like that?
Look, Steve, I don't know what Kool-Aid you've been drinking, but on LinkedIn, in the Seahawks group LinkedIn, one of the people there wrote, when I posted the article that Sammy wrote over there, he described the Seahawks yesterday as the cardiac kids. What, are you kidding me? There's no way you could have looked at one play and said, oh my God, yeah, they got this game in hand, or everything about this game from a Seahawks perspective, I mean, it was a nail biter. It was winning ugly. It was all those things.
But it's just the way the touchdown, the 2-point conversion, everything, the way everything rolled at that end of that fourth quarter, you watch that, and I'm dead serious too when I said it. As soon as I saw that onside kick, something in my mind said, Seattle's on a roll now. I just don't see them losing this game. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was that Green Bay got deflated after that, but it just seems like whatever issues Seattle was having offensively, the luck, God, I know you were saying God was there to help them with the 2-point conversion. Well, he was with them from that second half of the fourth quarter on. I'm sorry.
For the record, insane. It was Lord, and it was a small case L.
It was baby Jesus.
Hey.
I love you, baby Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
Baby Jesus has some excellent hang time.
That was a Talladega Night reference. Thank you very much.
All right, good time to take a break. A real short one, about 3.5 minutes, kids. Don't go anywhere because it's AFC Championship talk time when we get back. You're listening to the NFL Hour on 87 Sports Fans Live right here on Late Night Sports Radio.
Woke up to a pouring sweat. Hey, there goes Joan Jett, you know. Woke up to some wailing, was Van Halen on my radio. Parachute pants, skinny ties, Michael J. Fox, family ties, 1984. Radio. Nirvana was cool and maybe Pearl Jam, but that was it. Give me Springsteen, rock and roll, Cheap Trick, not Oingo Boingo. Hey, Joey Ramone, leave Michael Jackson at home. Radio, 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 radio. Radio, 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 radio. One-hit wonders, they all were stars. Billy Joe, the alarm, boombox hanging on my arm. Radio, 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 radio.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
'87 Sports Fans live on Late Night Sports Radio. Keith Grieve, Steve Taylor from 87sportsfans.com, joined by Jim Sarantias from thefantasygreek.com. Follow him on Twitter at thefantasygreek. This is the NFL Hour, kids. This is where we talk big boy football. Not for the little kiddies. Speaking of not for the little kiddies, our off-the-air talk, which will not be repeated here. It's just good we were off the air. Reminder that this and every broadcast is brought to you by CG Imaging at cg-imaging.com. CG Imaging, virtually creating reality. And so we spent the last half hour talking about the NFC Championship, but there was another game, believe it or not, folks, played on Sunday that did have some kind of bearing. It just wasn't nearly as entertaining, and that was the New England Patriots thrashing the Indianapolis Colts. Gosh, if you're the Colts, where do you go from today?
It's one of those classic examples of a team that's up and coming that needs to knock the king off the mountain. You know what I mean? It's just right now the Patriots they're on the top. They've been on the top. You know, regardless of what's happened the last couple seasons with their injuries and issues and whatnot, the Patriots have been on the top for a long time. And the Colts just need to figure out how to get really, in my opinion, home field advantage, because it's really tough to go to New England in a championship game and beat that team, let alone a team that, you know, is not as good as their record shows. A lot of people believe that, and I know I was a little bit of a proponent of theirs all year. I think Andrew Luck did a lot to bring them along, but what yesterday showed is when you get a team that's good against a team that's great at home in a championship game, you're going to get whooped, and that's exactly what happened.
It wasn't even competitive, though.
No. Well, here, I mean, Keith, your original question was where do they go from here? Well, I suppose the first thing is they need to burn the tape, most of it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially whatever tape of their defense defending the Patriots' offense. I mean, just weren't good. I mean, they couldn't stop LeGarrette Blount. I mean, he's not a small man. They should at least be able to grab the guy. A couple guys pull him to the ground. That didn't happen. They had to do that to win this game. When it came to their pass defense couldn't stop them either. I mean, they weren't doing anything. You had to pick which part of the game you were going to stop these guys on and which part you couldn't, and they couldn't do either. On offense, and this is where I think they really went wrong. This really took this game completely out of whack, and that's they didn't commit to the run. When Boom Herron touches that football more than 20 times, and I wrote about this in the game preview for the NFC divisional game. When he touches the ball, I want to say it's 20 times or more, 19 times, something like that. They win. They win football games. They control the time of possession. But in this particular game, Patriots had it for 38 minutes. The Colts had it for 22. Without committing to the run, they were 3 and out. Just they couldn't get anything going. And even when they were down 14-0, commit to the run. That's how they scored their first touchdown, was on a rushing touchdown. Okay, now it's 21-7 or whatever. Keep running. Keep that offense off the field. Mm-hmm. Don't throw until you have to. And they didn't do it.
And looking back now, how big is that pickup of Blount by New England? You have a guy that last year just annihilated Indianapolis in the playoffs. And then this year they pick him back up at the end of the season, and what does he do? Almost exactly what he did last year against Indianapolis in a game where they needed him the most. To me, that was a brilliant pickup.
It was, but I mean, if you look at it in terms of the production in the field, it absolutely was outstanding pickup. If you look at it, did it make sense? It didn't make any sense at all. I mean, here was the guy that they couldn't resign, so he shunned the team for the contract that they were offering to get a bit bigger and better deal from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he goes there. Then he cries foul because he's not a starter, and they waive him. That's the guy you want on your team? And then you play him over a young rookie who posts over 200 yards rushing the week before? Because the rookie missed practice? Overslept? I mean, whatever the excuse was. None of that exactly sat right with me. But the fact that he is this productive, it sort of, I guess it makes amends for it, You can sort of wash all that other stuff away.
Yeah, it's the mind of Bill Belichick. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Blount came crawling back in New England. They were like,
he didn't come crawling back. They picked him up off waivers.
Yeah, I know. They just wanted.
But there were probably conversations. You know what I mean? There's those behind closed doors. Like, listen, this is the situation we're in now. Are you going to play nice? You wonder what goes on with those Belichick. I mean, he's not a dumb guy, especially when it comes to these moves. I mean, they picked up, wasn't it Deion Branch where they picked him back up after he wanted more money and they let him go, and they brought him back for what should have been another championship run, which didn't end up being that way. They have that knack of like, all right, if you want more money, go, but then I know you're going to come crawling back.
Yeah, Jim, you talked about the Colts abandoning the run. They led the league in pass attempts this year. They haven't shown much commitment to the run all season long. But I agree with you that they should shift. I'll go that far with you. But that hasn't been their MO all year.
In my game review entitled Colts Flattened by Patriots 45-7 on thefantasygreek.com, I finish up the article by talking about here's what they need to look at. And the first thing they have to look at in the offseason, the Colts, they need to fix their running back situation. I mean, if it's Boom Herron, fine. Ahmad Bradshaw has to get healthy. Vic Ballard, I don't know that Vic will be coming back. I mean, this is his second trip to injured reserve, so I don't know how the Colts feel about that. But somehow they need to get themselves replenish the stable of running backs and get that running game going. It cannot all be on Andrew Luck. It just can't be. I mean, he sort of failed